The afternoon sun burned above Riverside High, like a spotlight on the worst moment of Sophie Chin's life. Lunchtime crowds buzzed in the courtyard, laughing, eating, snapping selfies. But everything stopped the second Tyler Hamilton stepped forward, dressed in his designer jeans and white sneakers that probably cost more than Sophie's entire month's grocery budget. He held a blood-red dress in his hand like a trophy. It was tiny, a size 2, maybe even smaller, and he dangled it in the air like bait. "Hey, Sophie," he shouted, his voice cutting to the chatter like a chainsaw. "If you fit into that dress by prom night, I'll go to prom with you." The crowd hushed for a split second, then exploded in laughter. Phones popped up instantly. Someone started live streaming. Sophie stood frozen, her hand still hovering over the prom registration form she'd just picked up. She felt like she'd been punched in the gut. All eyes were on her. The dress was a joke. It was obvious. She'd never fit into it. Everyone knew that. Everyone knew she'd been struggling with her weight ever since her dad walked out and left her mom drowning in debt. Everyone knew Tyler's family was so rich they owned half the city's car dealerships. And now everyone was watching her get crushed under the weight of his cruel dare. But Sophie didn't cry. She didn't run. She just stared at Tyler, at the dress, at the crowd. Inside her head, something clicked. Not fear, not shame, calculation. Tyler didn't know that behind her oversized hoodie and thick glasses hid a mind that could crack passwords before breakfast. At 12, she'd hacked the school's rumor board just to find out who was spreading lies about her mom. By 15, she discovered coding and with it, a secret power, information. And now, Tyler had just handed her the perfect trap. "I accept," she said, clear, calm, steady. The crowd roared again, but Sophie's eyes stayed locked on Tyler, who blinked like he'd just been slapped. He expected her to crumble. Instead, she took the dress, folded it neatly, and walked away like nothing had happened. But inside, she was already 2 steps ahead. While Tyler posted smug TikToks calling her mission impossible, Sophie was at home, fingers flying across 3 keyboards, diving into the Hamilton family's digital life. It didn't take long. Tyler used the same dumb password everywhere. Tyler the King 123. Within hours, Sophie had uncovered secrets that would make his perfect life crumble. Tyler's dad wasn't just rich. He was dirty. Records showed Hamilton Motors had been selling cars with faulty brakes, hiding safety recalls, and bribing inspectors. But worse, Tyler himself had been in 3 drunk driving crashes. Each time, his father had paid off the police, silenced victims, and erased the evidence. Sophie dug deeper and found something even more sinister. Tyler had a secret cryptocurrency wallet, loaded with $800,000, money his father paid him to stay quiet about the accidents. Every bit of data was a weapon, and Sophie was building an arsenal. Meanwhile, at school, Tyler turned her pain into entertainment. He posted daily updates mocking her, calling her lazy, weak, and hopeless. His friends left fast food in her locker with notes like, "We thought you'd be hungry." Some kids even started a cruel countdown. 41 days until Sophie fails. But Sophie didn't care. Every cruel word only fueled her. She wasn't just trying to fit into a dress anymore. She was preparing for war. And she wasn't alone. Marcus Rivera, the school's quiet computer tech with prosthetic leg and military past, had noticed her skills. When he saw her bypass the school's firewall like it was paper, he pulled her aside. "You're smarter than all of them," he said. "Let me teach you how to fight back, not with fists, but with truth." And so, in a hidden basement room no one knew existed, Sophie began her real training. Every morning at 5 a.m., while Tyler slept at his mansion, Sophie ran laps around the neighborhood. Marcus designed a military-style fitness plan. Not to shrink her for a dress, but to build her strength inside and out. By week 3, she lost 18 pounds. By week 5, she could do 50 push-ups without stopping. But her body wasn't the only thing changing. Her mind was sharpening like a blade. Marcus taught her how to trace hidden bank transfers, clone digital footprints, and plant evidence that looked organic. "Revenge isn't about rage," he told her one night as they monitored Tyler's online activity. "It's about precision. You don't burn the house. You expose the rot inside, So everyone sees it wasn't a house at all, just a fake facade. Sophie nodded, eyes fixed on the screens. She'd already gathered enough to destroy Tyler, but she wasn't rushing. She wanted the whole world to watch when the truth dropped, and she wanted Tyler to stand center stage with no escape. Prom night arrived like a glittering storm. The Riverside Country Club shimmered with golden lights, crystal chandeliers, and parents snapping photos of their perfect children in expensive dresses and tuxedos. Tyler strutted around like a king, smirking into his phone. Final update. Sophie didn't show. Bet's over. I win. But Sophie had arrived hours earlier, through the service entrance, guided by Marcus, who knew every security code and camera blind spot. She stood in the club's control room, surrounded by monitors, heart pounding but steady. The red dress fit her perfectly now. Not because she'd starved herself, but because she'd rebuilt herself from the inside out. Her hair was sleek, her glasses replaced with contacts, and her posture, confident, unshakable. Marcus handed her a headset. Ready? He asked. Sophie took a deep breath. He turned my pain into a joke, she said. Now it's his turn to become the punchline. With a single keystroke, she hijacked every screen in the ballroom. Silence fell like a bomb. On every screen, Sophie appeared, glowing in a red dress, calm as ice. Good evening, Riverside High, she said, her voice echoing through the speakers. Tyler Hamilton, you said if I fit into this dress, you'd go to prom with me. Well, here I am. Tyler dropped his champagne glass. His face went pale. The crowd turned to him, confused, then horrified as the screens changed. First, screenshots of his text. Let's break Sophie. Make her quit school. Then bank transfers. $50,000 labeled silence payment. Then photos of wrecked cars and police reports buried by bribes. Then the worst of all, Amber Rodriguez, sitting in a wheelchair, her face scarred but strong. This is Amber, Sophie said. Tyler ran her over last December, while drunk. His dad paid her family $200,000 to stay quiet. Gasps filled the room. Parents shouted. A teacher fainted. Tyler tried to run, but every exit was locked. Marcus had activated lockdown mode. Everything I just showed you, Sophie continued, has already been sent to the FBI, the press, and 2.3 million live viewers. Sirens wailed in the distance. Tyler sank to his knees, sobbing. Please, my dad will kill me. Sophie stepped into the ballroom, descending the grand staircase like a queen. Your family built an empire on victims, she said coldly. But you forgot one thing. I had nothing to lose and everything to prove. In the months that followed, Tyler's world collapsed. His father was arrested for bribery and money laundering. Hamilton Motors shut down. Their mansion was auctioned off. Tyler was expelled, blacklisted by every private school, and forced to attend a community college, where no one cared about his last name. Meanwhile, Sophie became a symbol of quiet strength. Her story went viral, not for revenge, but for resilience. She got a full scholarship to MIT, where she gave talks on digital ethics and social justice. Her book, Code of Courage, became a bestseller. She even started a nonprofit that taught coding to underprivileged girls. The red dress? She donated it to charity, and it raised $75,000 for digital education. But her greatest victory wasn't fame. It was peace. She no longer hid behind baggy clothes. She walked with her head high, not because she was thin, but because she knew her worth wasn't measured in inches or likes. Her mom finally quit her exhausting jobs and enrolled in nursing school, tears in her eyes as she hugged Sophie. You gave us a future. If you fit in that dress, I'll go to prom with you. The rich boy laughed. Months later, shocked asterisk, but not for the reason he thought. Tyler expected to humiliate a girl. Instead, he awakened a warrior. Sophie didn't just fit into the dress. She outgrew the entire system that tried to shrink her. And in the end, the real lesson wasn't about weight, clothes, or even revenge. It was about dignity. About how when someone tries to make you feel small, the most powerful thing you can do is rise. So high, so bright, that their shadows can't touch you anymore. Sophie proved that the best revenge isn't destruction, it's excellence. And sometimes, All it takes is one cruel dare to ignite a revolution. Sophie's story didn't end at prom. It just began. At MIT, she stood in front of hundreds of students, not as a victim, but as a leader. Technology, she told them, is a mirror. It shows who we really are. Tyler used it to hide his lies. I used it to reveal the truth. In the front row, Marcus sat beside her mom, both beaming with pride. Outside, the world was changing. Schools across the country started anti-bullying programs inspired by Sophie's journey. Jessica, her old friend, now ran workshops on kindness and digital responsibility. Even Amber Rodriguez used her settlement money to launch a foundation for accident victims, naming Sophie as an honorary board member. Tyler, meanwhile, lived a quiet life far from the spotlight. He sent dozens of messages begging for forgiveness, but Sophie never replied, not out of bitterness, but because she had moved on. She didn't need his apology. She had her future. Every morning, she woke up not thinking about the dress or the humiliation, but about the next line of code, the next idea, the next life she could change. Years later, when asked what she'd say to Tyler now, Sophie smiled softly. I'd tell him thank you. The interviewer blinked in surprise. Thank you? After everything he did? Sophie nodded. He gave me a deadline, a challenge, a reason to become someone I didn't know I could be. Sometimes, the people who try to break you end up forging you into something unbreakable. Her words spread like wildfire, quoted in schools, shared in therapy sessions, pinned on bulletin boards. Because Sophie's story wasn't just hers. It belonged to every kid who'd ever been laughed at, doubted, or told they didn't belong. She became living proof that intelligence, integrity, and inner strength are worth more than any fortune or fashion, and that true power doesn't come from what you wear, but from who you choose to become when the world tells you you're not enough. The final chapter of Sophie's revenge wasn't written in courtrooms or headlines, but in classrooms, coding boot camps, and bedrooms where girls stayed up late learning Python, dreaming of their own comebacks. She never sought fame, yet it found her. She never wanted to destroy Tyler, but his own arrogance did that for her. In the end, she didn't just win the bet. She rewrote the rules. And as she stood on the MIT stage, bathed in applause, she knew one thing for certain. The girl in the courtyard that day, the one everyone pitied, was gone. In her place stood a woman who turned pain into purpose, humiliation into hope, and a blood-red dress into a banner of resilience. If you fit in that dress, I'll go to prom with you. The rich boy laughed. Months later, shocked asterisk. Not because Sophie showed up in a dress, but because she showed the world what happens when you underestimate a quiet mind with a fire in its soul.